Hi everyone, so I just finished filming my week 11 pregnancy update, and I wanted to start this new video to let you all know what has been going on medically throughout the pregnancy. I'm going to go through all of my appointments that I've had and my visits to the doctors. Actually, if everything was going perfect, I would have only seen the doctor one time so far. But I have actually been to the doctor 3 times, and I've been to the ER 1 time. So we've had a few scares this pregnancy. This is my first pregnancy, so everything's new, but I do have a medical background, so I know when something is not right, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. But I'll go ahead and just start off from the beginning. So my first appointment that I ever had was at 7 weeks and 6 days, and that was on Monday, July 27th. So everything was good. They found baby's heartbeat. Baby's heartbeat was 166. Everything looked good on transvaginal ultrasound. And then on July 30th, which was that Thursday, I started having, they say you can spot during pregnancy, but this was a little bit more than spotting. It was some light pink, and when I wiped, I still had a little bit of light pink. So I was a little bit concerned because it was more than I thought was normal for spotting. It didn't last for a long time, lasted for less than an hour, but I called my doctor and they wanted me to go ahead and come in. So I did come in that day, and they checked my cervix and it was closed, but they did see some bleeding, and the bleeding was not on the outside of the cervix but was coming from the inside of the cervix. Now sometimes you can have intercourse and your cervix is sensitive because of all the pregnancy hormones and everything, and you can have a little bleeding. But now my blood was coming from the inside of my cervix. So the doctor said that the cervix was closed, which is good. It wasn't trying to open up. And then she did do a little portable ultrasound on my stomach and did see the baby and saw its heartbeat. But she said that what she assumed that I had was a subchorionic bleed. And I'll just read you all what that means. It's also known as a subchorionic hematoma, and it's an accumulation of blood between the uterine lining and the chorion, which is the outer fetal membrane next to the uterus, or it can be under the placenta itself. So basically it's like a little, well, it could be a little or a large collection of blood between the membranes. And what the doctor told me was that your body will either absorb that blood or it will excrete the blood. So what she told me was that over the next 4 or 5 days, I would probably have some spotting and to not be alarmed. Okay, so that was on Thursday. My bleeding stopped that Thursday, just had it for less than an hour that day. Didn't have any spotting at all until that Monday evening, about 4 o'clock. I started bleeding, and this time it was not light pink bleeding, it was bright red, like period blood, and it actually soaked through my panties. And then when I wiped a few times, there was a lot of blood. I would consider a moderate amount of bright red blood on the tissue. So I was pretty concerned at that point, because I know if you're having something that looks like period blood, that is usually not a good sign and could indicate that you're having a miscarriage. So my doctor's office closes at 5 p.m. so I couldn't make it to my doctor's office in time before they closed. So they told me to go ahead and go to the ER where I had had the previous pink bleeding and where it was so much blood this time. They said to go ahead and go to the ER. So that was on Monday, August the 3rd. And I went to the doctor. And the doctor's office told me that they wanted me to go there so that they could check my cervix, make sure that it wasn't open, check for fetal heart tones to make sure baby's heartbeat was beating. So I go to the ER, and I did not have a good experience. So the lady goes to insert the speculum, and she sees the blood, of course, because I've been bleeding. And she says, "There's too much blood. I can't see your cervix. And I'm afraid to insert a Q-tip to wipe away the blood because it could cause you to contract." And I'm like, okay. And I know as a medical person that this is not true. My doctor's office, when I went the previous time for the pink bleeding, wiped away the blood with a Q-tip so they could see my cervix. So this lady, she did not wipe away the blood. Couldn't tell me if my cervix was opening. So that just left me, not knowing anything. Then they came in with the little Doppler on my belly, which at this point, baby was 8 weeks and 6 days. So it was hard for them to find the baby's heartbeat because it's little anyway. But they never could find it, of course. So they brought in an older ultrasound, and the quality was not great at all. One of the nurse practitioner who I had been having all these experiences with, she said, "Oh, I see baby's heartbeat." But the other doctor that was there, he said, "I don't want to confirm or deny that that is baby's heartbeat." So I thought that I saw baby's heartbeat, so that was a little reassuring. We saw that it was moving, but really I left there not knowing much of anything. They told me to go see my doctor in 2 days, but I called my doctor's office the next day, and I explained everything, and they were surprised by my experience in the ER. So they told me to come in the following day, that Tuesday, August the 4th, and the doctor, of course, checked my cervix, moved the blood away with a Q-tip. She said that I was not bleeding anymore, that my cervix was closed. So that was great news. And they did a little portable, one of the little portable handheld ultrasounds on my belly, and did see baby and did see heart beating. So they also said, this is probably like we thought before, a subchorionic bleed. They put me on pelvic rest, which means no intercourse, nothing in the vagina until my next appointment, which will be a week from today. So since then it has been 2 weeks and I've not had any bleeding. But I asked the nurse practitioner, I said, "Is there any risk with this condition that I have?" And she said, "Well, small bleeds, can be normal. Like I said before, they will either be excreted or absorbed by the body. But the danger if you have a large bleed is that when you have a gush of that blood, it could cause the baby to also come out and result in a miscarriage." So we've just been praying, trying to take it easy. Thankfully, like I said, there's not been any bleeding in the last 2 weeks. I will go back in 1 week from today, and hopefully everything will check out great. But that is the story of everything that's been going on this pregnancy, all the scares that we've been having. But hopefully from now on, everything will be smooth. That's really all I have to say. If anyone has any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you all for listening.